This week, we're doing Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaghy. I'm Sarah Lyles.
And I'm Jamie Livingston, and we are so approachable. We made it through this book.
Yeah.
And it was very different.
Yes.
I don't know. I feel like our TLDR episode made it seem like more of a thriller.
Yeah.
Did you get those vibes?
No. To me, and I've read a lot of thrillers, I would not label this a thriller at all.
Yeah. I
would maybe put it on like the mystery,
Yeah.
like a fictional mystery.
But it was not really what I was expecting. I don't know what I was expecting from a like deserted island in the Antarctic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And really, after I finished it, I was like, it's another self-reflective, like, wow, that makes you think deep, but not a thriller. So.
Right. All right. So 3 words. What you got?
I have isolation, cold, and haunted. What about you?
I considered doing cold. That's funny. I have moody, convoluted, and slow.
Oh.
So it was the opposite of a thriller for me. It took me forever to read this book. And you can attest, like, you're like, finish this book. I'm like, I'm not even halfway.
Well, for our listeners to know, always, and I say always until to this book, you finish it and send me the words done. And I'm like, oh, I got to finish this book really quick. But this one, I finished almost like a week before you.
I was feeling the heat in this cold book.
Welcome. I do that every week, okay?
I'm sorry. I have not meant to put that pressure.
And it's not like intended, but this time I was like, just keep going. It's like a slow burn.
Yeah.
But you got to get there after the
slow melt.
Yeah.
Fast melt is what they're telling us.
Yeah.
This one, I will say, it was hard for me to read quickly. Mostly I was listening to the audiobook, and the audiobook is in an Australian accent, and I tried listening to it faster, and it just didn't make sense to me. Or like the accent itself sped up just was not computing in my brain. So I had to listen to it at 1 times speed, which is not where I'm at for an audiobook. And so it just felt so slow. And we talked about this. It was so hard to go from the audiobook to the book because the chapters aren't numbered.
Correct.
It just goes back and forth between perspective. And so I couldn't really tell how much progress I was making.
No, and some of the chapters are like half of a page.
Right.
And some of them are like 5 pages. And so you can't really tell where you're at. So, yeah, that was hard to go back and forth.
I would try to open the book like in bed at night, and I would spend so much time just finding where I was. And then when I wanted to try to find where I was in the audiobook, it was complicated. So it was taking forever. And so I finally barreled through and finished it. And so now I have thoughts.
All right, so let's get into it. So in the beginning of the book, right away, we find a woman on the beach. Wow, we find Rowan, right?
Yeah.
So where do you go from there? Did you have any ideas as to why she was there or what brought her there?
No. I mean, and I think that's where this falls into the mystery category. I mean, there's clearly a mystery happening.
Yes.
The people who live there are strange. I mean, the girl is living among the animals and pretending to be a sea lion. That's a problem. Red flag.
Yeah.
And it just was a very, very strange setting. I think also in this book, the location is a character.
Oh, absolutely.
And so just trying to get to know Shearwater, this secluded island that's off of the shore of Antarctica, just that setting in and of itself is bizarre. And I don't know how to wrap my head around it because I'm picturing snow and ice and just barren wasteland. But then I look at this cover and it looks warm.
Yeah.
These are warm tones. This
Right.
is water on a normal beach. And so I was just very conflicted in my head.
Yeah.
You even pointed out that there were other covers to this
Yes,
book.
in the UK, they have a completely different cover.
Yeah.
It's like you see someone sitting on the beach looking out in the skies, and it's like a blue and green colors. They're way different.
It's like the Milky Way.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yes.
I don't know if that would have helped me or what. This gives me I'm sorry, this is normally how we end our episodes, but this was tripping me up because this gives me Western vibes.
Oh.
It's the sepia tones, and I was just I'm very confused. Everything was a little jarring for me.
I could see that. I definitely did not picture this. And so I didn't even think about this as I was reading it. I was like, okay, it's ice everywhere. There's snow. Everything's dark. There's no trees. There's nothing. And so I didn't notice, to me.
So the fact that Rowan washes up on shore, Fen is the one who kind of brings her in, and they discover she's still alive. That had to be terrifying.
Yes.
To be swimming and come across what you think is just kelp, and then there's a body, and that body is actually alive.
Right.
Woo.
Yes. I think about Rowan, and I think about okay, wait, where did she come from? Because this is secluded, and there's no ship anywhere. How did she survive this? Mm-hmm. And so for me, that was the immediate, what's the mystery? I'm trying to figure this out.
Well, and then there was just this instant tension between her and the family. She was clearly trying to get some information, but I think what I didn't like about this, and so many of the reviews talked about the chapters ended with cliffhangers, and I was I never felt like I was on a cliff. I didn't feel like it was a cliffhanger. I just knew I wasn't going to get information, and so I never felt I got to keep reading because I'm going to find out the answers. I wasn't getting any answers, and so it was all right, well, I guess I can wait until tomorrow to read a couple more pages because I'm not going to learn anything.
That's about accurate. It took a while. The middle was definitely slow, and it was a lot of build up and development to understand, because I know that they had to put a lot of that. I do think they could have sped up a lot of that and put it in less words, but I can see what she was trying to do. She was trying to give a lot more depth to the climate change and to the wildlife. And so some things kind of I understood more when I kind of looked at her history and look at what she likes. Apparently in a lot of her books, she likes to reference to animals and the eco life. And even she does care a lot about climate change and how it affects the world around us.
Right. Her other book is Migrations.
Yes.
Talking about a species that's about to go extinct.
Yes.
So, yes. And I think the other one is about wolves. And they're trying to repopulate wolves in Scotland or somewhere. So, a lot of things about nature and the environment. So, this will make you think about that.
Yeah.
The whole premise of this is the seed bank.
Right.
Clearly, there's a seed bank underground. We're talking end of the world. There's either flooding or fires or wildlife has been destroyed, and this is going to be the cornucopia of life.
Well, did you know seed banks are a real thing?
Yeah.
So, the biggest one is in Norway.
Okay.
And so she went to go visit it as she was doing, I had to understand this book more when I finished it. So I kind of did a deep dive, kind of pulled a little bit of Jamie out and was let me figure this out. So because
you had so much extra time.
A week. I had a whole, imagine how much more deep dive.
I didn't do any research this time.
Well, it's okay. That's what I was here for. And so she really went in on how, how does this affect my children? Because she has children of herself. And she says, sometimes I wonder, was I selfish bringing kids into the world knowing all these things? And even, she was saying that Rowan's... her quote talking about, that maybe we will drown or burn or starve one day, but until then we get to choose if we'll add to that destruction or if we will care for each other. That is a deep, deep quote.
Well, and that was part of what she had said to the little boy,
yes.
Right?
To a little boy.
Oh, we'll burn or we'll drown. We're going to die.
It's no big deal. Yes, Dom comes back and what did you say? But
right. She's oh, was I not supposed to say that? Oh,
okay. But if you look at her character, she and her, not wanting kids and not really understanding kids, I think that's that also was a big play in this book.
Yeah. And I think that is something... One of our questions talks about how that's not talked about a lot in society. And I think it actually is... growing. I think there's a big movement of childless adults.
Yeah.
And people who have decided, I don't want to bring kids into this world. I'm looking out for me, myself, and I, or me and my partner. Like, we're doing adult life and we're loving it. And like, I get that. And like, I'm not going to like put any of those people down.
Right.
But I think that movement is growing. I don't understand it as a parent, and you're a parent as well. And so I think this story was a lot about the dynamics between parent and child.
Right.
And her choice to not really stems from her childhood.
Right.
And that was devastating. I know we had talked about potentially putting trigger warnings on this episode, because when you finish this book, you realize that it has every single trigger warning in it.
Every single one. You know, there's drowning, there's child death, there's sexual assault, adult minor relationships, climate doom, anxiety, death, suicide, and the list continues to go on. It is so many, and it's overwhelming. Like I told you, there was Spice Alert, like I told you.
Whoa.
Like it was like halfway, 3/4 way through, and I was like, just be ready. And you're like, I didn't realize that was coming.
It came out of nowhere. So
Yes.
Spicy chapter. Don't let that one get you off.
And it's a couple chapters, isn't it like a couple chapters long?
I feel like it's a couple perspectives. But
Correct.
it's also one of those, like, we didn't categorize this as a romance by any means, so we didn't put a Spice Alert on this, so I'm sorry if you started reading then you're like, girls, what did you recommend? Golly. So yes, that was a fun little section to listen to.
All right, so we learn about Rowan. She's the mysterious woman, and then we finally learn that she's there for her husband, Hank. So we learn more about him. I'm curious, so what did you think of Hank?
Well, there was a lot of mystery around him, and clearly something happened.
Yes.
And it wasn't clear at all. I mean, Dom was pretty standoffish about it, and clearly he had warned the children, like, we can't tell her anything, and had been giving them kind of shifty instructions. And he did provide Rowan some information, but I was trying to figure out what could possibly have happened, like whether he went crazy and needed to be subdued, or whether he did get off the island, or whether he tried to kill somebody. And so, like, there was a lot of things happening. When Rowan found his computer and cell phone
The passport.
and passport, then I was like, okay, well, he didn't leave the island, clearly.
Right. And it seemed like Dom was hiding it.
Right. And so there's definitely... So I was trying to come up with theories at that point, and I felt like the most obvious one was that Dom killed him.
Of course.
That was the obvious one.
Right, and then they go up, when they went to go dig up, I was like, for sure, that's his grave.
Right. And it wasn't.
No.
So did you have any theories at that point, or were you on the Dom killed him train?
I still thought Dom killed him, but I figured there was a reason. Didn't know.
Right. That's kind of where I was at, but then I was like, that seems too obvious. So I feel like if we're going on the thriller vibe, there's got to be some twist to that. So I was trying to think about it. Part of me did wonder if he was still alive.
Oh.
Because it was a very remote and crazy island, and so there could have been another section, and especially when the little boy, Orly, had said, like, we're not going over there, I promise. And I was like, oh, okay, that could mean something.
Yeah, oh, look at you.
Which it did. It was the bodies that they had buried, so, like, I was onto something. I was very confused, though, when she goes and starts digging that grave up, and they discover that, and Dom is helping her dig at this point and explains there's 3 other ones. And then she just decides to stop her quest to find her husband. And she was like, I don't want to know. I did not understand that. I was like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
No.
You're going to literally dig up a body.
Yes.
And have him tell you exactly what happened with these 3 mounds.
Right.
But now you don't want closure? Now you don't want to know?
Right. I felt that very unlikely. And I even felt like even Rowan and Dom's relationship was a little bit unlikely. And like, how can this woman who's in search of her husband suddenly romantically fall in love with someone during her search for her husband? It's like, that to me felt like a little unlikely.
What did you think about the husband's emails? Like the cries for help, like I'm in danger,
I mean,
come help.
I would have thought that she would have been searching harder. Like, obviously, he was asking for help. I mean, that's why I was like, he's got to be dead.
Well, and that's where I was just confused as to why she decided to give up at that point and not press him for any more information. Like, I don't think it was her romantic feelings toward Dom that stopped her, but it seemed like she didn't want him to have to say that he commits suicide. Oh. And so that was her assumption, was that he also died by suicide the way those other 3 people did. Because that's how the other 2 died, right? Because Alex hung himself.
Yeah, I know.
And then I think the doctor lady and the other person.
Yeah, because they were like going crazy on this crazy island.
Right.
Yes.
And so the fact that he was obsessed with the seeds and wanted to save them all, like I could see him staying behind and maybe trying to come up with his own way. Like, I don't know. I considered that. I didn't necessarily consider him imprisoned down in a dungeon.
He was imprisoned. And then you unfold even more of why he's really being imprisoned is disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And really sad.
Yeah. I don't understand. Like, she knew that there was a lot of blood, and I get that she was thinking that her husband had been killed there, but then she just assumed that Alex had been killed there. And I was like, well, no, we already knew that Alex had hanged himself.
Right.
And so that's not a bloody death.
No, no.
And so the luminol showing a bunch of blood in that lodging quarters, like that didn't make sense to me. So I still knew that somebody was badly injured in there.
Yes.
So I also, throughout the book, talking about the creepy instance or why he's being imprisoned downstairs for sleeping with the daughter and having the relations there, that he tried to kill her. Like that, all of this. Like, good golly.
Right.
But what were your theories about the reason why Fen and Dom were at odds? Like, why was she feeling not safe enough to stay in the house? Why was she, like, what drove her to live among the animals? Did you have theories on that?
I felt it had to do with the mom, like her trying to connect more with her mom and like in some way, like, okay, neat looking, longing for that motherly figure. So that's how I saw it, because she cared a lot about like the birthing of the, different animals. And you got your penguins.
Yes, I did.
In a weird way, but yes. And so like I saw it more of her like longing for that motherly instinct, creation, let me just be one with the earth.
But I feel like she did express some fear, and like there were a couple instances where she was in the lighthouse and like saw somebody walking by or something, and like she was afraid and that she wanted to go be by the animals or something instead. So I just felt like there was something that she was running from. And I wasn't necessarily picturing it with Hank, but I may have gone even darker and thought it was something with her dad. Because, like, that's how, like, awkward it was, and they were, like, at complete odds. And so I was like, there has to be something. It didn't seem, I don't know. It seemed very sketchy. So I had that weird tension happening. And so I'm glad that wasn't the case.
Well, yes.
But the fact that all of this stemmed from her assuming or thinking that she was pregnant, and then she wasn't pregnant, and like, what would have happened if she wouldn't have said anything about that? That's a whole different book.
Right.
Completely different book.
Yes, that would have changed a lot. Although I think that Hank might have died then.
What do you think about the revelation that it was Orly who cut off the communications?
I mean, Orly, first of all, like getting into his character, how he was, the one that lived when the mom died. And the dad even makes some comments about like, she would have like been the one to live if, it would have taken your life. And so like, I already have a sadness for him, like already. And his chapters always come out and they're describing something really like about nature, like was it dandelion?
Dandelions,
yes.
yep.
And so he goes in all these different ways. And so Orly, I already get this like young, cute, sweet young boy just looking for someone to love and people to care for. And so I was like, Orly? Really? I was surprised.
Right. And I think that was intentional because all of his chapters were very upbeat and he's
Yes.
just this innocent little boy.
Yes.
But he has expressed his love for these seeds. And so it didn't surprise me that he wanted to categorize all of the plants and get them all off of the island and to save them all. And so he needed more time with with Hank.
Yes.
To make sure that Hank could finish his job because that was his mentor and Hank taught him everything that he knew about the seeds. And so it made sense that would be a rash small child's decision to go in and smash the radios.
Yeah. I know. I just was like, Orly, come on. Like I guess it was just I saw him trying so hard to just do the best he thought was the best, but he ended up doing so much harm to his whole family.
Right. I do have a quote. This was Rowan and probably middle of the book. Let's see. I have no idea where the pages are. Closer to the end. And it might be around Orly is really struggling with the seeds and that, we need to save them. Mm-hmm. And her quote says, I can understand why he might not, in fact, be all right. Why maybe none of us will be, because we have, all of us humans, decided what to save, and that's ourselves. Mm. And I think that was just really deep and really philosophical, that, when push comes to shove, I'm out for myself.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what Rowan had lived with, and that was kind of her mantra, because she had dealt with a ton of loss. I mean, we kind of hinted at it earlier, but she didn't want to have kids because her younger brother died on her watch.
Right.
And she has carried that guilt
of course
for decades.
Of course.
And that's devastating.
Absolutely. I couldn't imagine carrying that around all the time.
But I was also proud of her for confronting her mom, because her mom was like, he wasn't alone, he was with you. And she was like, why did you put me in that situation?
Correct.
She was 13 or something at the time, and it was like, no, that's not.
You're not responsible enough to be taking care of
on a
yourself,
boat.
let alone someone else, right?
Yeah, that was devastating.
I felt bad for her because can you imagine?
No, It is awful.
All right, speaking of Rowan's good quotes, she also talked about, here is the nature of life, that we must love things with our whole selves, knowing they will die. Mm. And, again, you can really feel the authors, trying to pull at us in our eco life of, we're going to, take care of all these things, knowing they're going to die. That's just the circle of life. And so it was really big, impactful, all her quotes. She had a ton of them.
Right. She was very philosophical throughout all of this, and that's why it was maybe slower for me to read, because I'm trying to process some of these phrases. Maybe jumping ahead to the ending. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about her transformation? Because she and Dom kind of start to have this relationship.
Correct.
Clearly.
Yes.
They have feelings. And she does kind of take on a motherly role.
Yeah.
And then for the very end, how did you feel about the ending? Was it what you were expecting? And
no,
down in the tunnel, in the water, I'll never let go, Jack. That wasn't it. But how did you feel? Titanic. Were you somebody... A lot of the reviews that I was looking at, I was I was bawling, I was sobbing at the end. Did you feel emotional?
Again, I'm not an emotional person, but really I was she's sacrificing herself, giving over, and even her ability to communicate, knowing I need to tell him I love him. Please tell your siblings I love them. Tell your dad. And then even Orly's you can tell him yourself. And she's knowing she's about to give her last breath to Orly.
Literally.
And she does. And she says I'm going to give this all so you can live. And I thought, wow, how impactful. And then even back on her mom, how she's like, I'm thinking of my mom, like through my death, like why I died before. And again, I think of my mom. And so I was like, I wondered more, a little bit deeper. I like was trying to think like, okay, what was it about her mom? I mean, there was so much about her mom, but that was the last thing in her mind. And then for her to be like embraced as she's like dying down, I'm imagining like the spirit of their mother, like saying, thank you. Like you gave your life for my son just like I did.
Right. So she does take on that maternal role.
Absolutely.
And I felt conflicted about that. I think it was beautiful, but it didn't hit the mark for me. I feel like I was supposed to be emotional, and at that point I was like, but she hates kids. Like, okay. I didn't feel like she redeemed herself. I think that in that moment, she was redeeming the loss of her brother. And the fact that she was able to save this little boy and she wasn't able to save her brother.
Right.
And so I think that kind of came full circle for me.
Yeah.
And so that was beautiful. And then, like, the embrace of the ghost or whatever. Like, I can see that.
Right.
But I was not one of the people who was sobbing at the end of this. And like, that was such a beautiful sacrifice. And normally I am. Like, I'm all about that. Like, that trope gets me. But this time I was just like, nope, didn't see that coming. And also, like, she could have been saved. It was like 2 seconds and they pulled her out. Like, she could have been saved.
Right, because literally, like, Dom was doing CPR when he pulled her body up.
Right.
And, like, it was almost like they were like, she could feel him pulling her. And I'm like, if you can feel him pulling you, then
you're not dead.
You're not dead. And so I was like, oh, all right, well.
It felt very quick to me, and that she was final. Like, she was gone. And I was like, try a little longer.
Right.
I don't know. You can do CPR for a long time.
True.
And he was a strong man. Like, that just felt strange to me. Maybe it would have been... Maybe I would have felt similarly if she had survived.
Right.
And I would have been like, oh, well, of course she survived. But I don't know. That wasn't the ending that I was looking for. I do think it was cool that she had said, like, I want to welcome you to my property. I want you to come to my land.
Yes.
And so now they do have a place to kind of start over. Although, logistically, how is that possible? Because whose word are they taking when they get back to that land?
Right.
Like, maybe it's different in Australia when it comes to, like, deeds to the property.
Who knows?
But, like,
who knows?
But hopefully they have a beautiful place. And like she had said, she found the wombats that had made it through the fire.
The little bums, yes. Yes.
And Orly had talked about how certain plants can survive and can only spread once they've gone through something like that. So, like, there will be a life and there will be rebirth. But it took a long time to get there.
I told you, keep going. I mean, the last 25 pages, you're like, oh, wow, so much happened.
Right. Okay, so another thing that I definitely didn't see coming was when Rowan and Raph are on the boat and they almost get killed by a whale.
Oh, yes.
It's just like, I'm sorry, what?
And Raph, really, you don't see a ton of Raph in the book, really. And so, like, another sibling, right, the oldest son. And so they're out there, and I'm like, okay, this whale is just out of nowhere and just almost kills them.
Well, and I feel like she had kind of had that concern the first time they saw whales. And she was like, they're just big and I don't want to be near them. Which we discussed when we talked about whales.
I
and
love
how
whales.
Like,
they're so cool.
I'll watch them from a distance, but, being that close to them seems a little dangerous.
I mean, I'm sure
So we had our own spoiler alert, or our own prediction.
I'm sure that they really do that because they're very curious animals. And so I'm sure they're going up to see, but don't realize there might just be killing.
This one did realize it and apparently shifted in midair and tried not to smash them.
I know. But
it was a smart humpback whale.
Because they have their family. This is the Salts and their whole family. I see the Salts really, and really I just kind of want to hear your thoughts on it. Do you think this island created them in their thinking, and their personalities shifted greatly because of this island or because of a lot of their history of things they went through, or both. Could be a lot of both.
I mean, I think the environment played a very large role.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've been there for 8 years.
Long time.
It was a long time. I mean, Orly was 9, or
Right.
was he 12?
No, he was like 9.
Young.
He was young.
Right.
I think he was a baby when they came.
Right.
Yes.
So growing up in this secluded, rationed society, not even society, like there's literally 20 other people on the island researching.
Right.
So very, very unique upbringing. You got the distance learning.
Yeah.
And I mean, they were smart.
They were way behind. Remember, I think there was a point, I can't remember what grade it was, but they were reading a book, and she was like, that's way too young for their age.
It was Raph who was way behind.
Yes.
Because I think that Fen was actually above.
Probably.
Because she had like already graduated and she was 17. But Raph was...
Yeah, it was Raph. He was behind.
Like, that's grade 9, and he should have been grade 11 or whatever. Yes. So that was kind of strange. But then you have Orly, who is like super genius with all of his data and collecting facts. So I definitely got an autistic vibe from him.
Yeah,
Just
didn't think about
in the
that.
way that like he was obsessed with the one topic. I'm picturing like a little kid with dinosaurs, or like I want to know absolutely everything. And so that was kind of a vibe that I got. I mean, that's definitely not a diagnosis by any means.
True.
But just that unique of a childhood could create very different circumstances. So I think living in seclusion and just the cold, the extremes, like that is bizarre. So I think that definitely impacted them. Talking about the mom's ghost or spirit or whatever, that was all very, very strange for me. I will have to say she had great taste in books, because we got another Jane Eyre reference in this book multiple times, and I was like, I knew I liked that mom. She's got notes in the margins. She is looking this stuff up. I appreciated that.
I thought of you as soon as I was like, oh, Jamie's going to like that. She read that book and talks about that book.
Well, and then it gets burned, and I was like, oh, girl.
Speaking of that, how did you feel about Finn burning everything?
I understood where she was coming from, and I thought that it was really sad that her dad kind of figured it out too late.
Yeah.
That like, oh, I should have opened this up. These are belongings that the kids would have liked. That should have been hers. Right. Like, those are clothes, those are belongings that she could treasure and that she could actually love. And she's burning them and destroying them because she thinks they're, like, changing him. Yeah. And so that was a sad, like, I feel like he realized it just too late.
Yeah, because she was slowly taking things.
Right.
And he didn't notice until too late.
When Raph was like, oh, she took everything. And then he was like, oh, those should have belonged to the kids. Yeah. I shouldn't have hoarded the memories to myself. Right. So I think one of our questions, or one of the reviews that I came across, talked about how grief is so prominent in this book, and each character handles it so differently. Yeah. So differently. Oh, yeah. Raph, he is, like, bottling it up, and then he's got to use the punching bag to, like, get his frustrations out. He also uses music. Yep. And, like, he can't bring himself to play, but he loves it, and so that's, like, his outlet as well. So he's bottling it up. You've got the girl who goes and swims and, like, just holds her breath underwater and swims around with the seals, like...
Yeah, I know. And really, like, Dominic, and really even one of our questions even talked about, like, with Dominic, like, going to the island was an escape from losing his wife. You know, like, he lost a lot, and yet he still has to hold it together to take care of these kids. And moving them, a commitment to move to this deserted island, which is like a blessing and a curse, because you're living off of all of the things that it's creating, but yet the island is slowly killing you. It was just like... Wow, I hate that. I hate that island. Like, I really felt like this island was, I mean, as we see, it gets destroyed basically at the end and it's gone. But then they come and try to take as much as they can.
I think that the island got a bad rep. Like, I feel like it was coming across as haunted and spooky, and it wasn't. Like,
I mean, obviously, clearly.
it was just like the family had their own baggage and secrets. Like,
Right.
the island itself wasn't out to get anybody.
Right.
And that's where I thought this had the thriller vibes, because it was eerie, maybe, but it was not cliffhanger,
Right.
huge twist. I mean, we do get the twist that Hank is alive, but the island itself just felt in disrepair. And I think it would be really cool to travel to the Antarctic.
Yeah.
I've seen the cruises where you can go and then they have like a polar plunge or something crazy. I don't know that I would be brave enough to do that, but I think that would be cool. Maybe not for 8 years living in solitude.
No. I'm not sure I could do that. No.
No, a quick 3-day cruise. Let's chill out. Let's go see some penguins. Yeah. I loved the artwork that they made on the beach with the penguins.
Yes.
And they made like a big metallic penguin
Yeah.
that the penguins could go and play with. I thought
know.
that was really cute.
I did like their connections with the, like, all the earth. And, like, then they even talk about how the seals survived, how they went back in the ocean and went and hid under the kelp. And so it was kind of, like, cool how they kind of, like, really had a relationship with them. Yes, I think it was because they were, like, lonely and they had nothing else to relate to or befriend with. But,
That's true.
I mean, so it's like, oh, that's weird. But when you stop and go, but who else are they going to talk to? Who else are they going to connect with? And their siblings are already at odds. They already have this really high tension because they lost their mom. They're trying to figure out their dad, who obviously still isn't healed from it. And so there was a lot going on.
There was. I really enjoyed when Dom was reflecting on raising Orly and how he realized that there isn't just like a mom gene, and that it doesn't just come easily for women to raise children. Like,
Right.
it's a lot of work.
Yes.
And he was talking about the division of labor and how when she died, he had to actually figure out how she had kept everything afloat. And that he had just been coasting and relying on her to do everything. And, like, how did she know when to give him medicine? How did she know when to, like, when they were too cold, when they needed to wear socks, when they, like, all of the things.
Right.
And so I thought that was just cool to kind of bring that out. I mean, this book had a lot of the catchy themes or hot button topics. And so
Right, yeah.
I've heard a lot of division of labor and people sharing the mental load. And so this book kind of touched on that for just like a paragraph or two. But I welcomed that because I think that that does deserve a conversation about how much parents carry and how much that responsibility weighs.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I have to keep this human alive
Right.
the rest of their life.
Yeah. And I mean, that goes back to, like, people who choose not to have kids. Like, that in my eyes, and I kind of look at it a little bit differently, like, that's so selfless, because it would be selfish of them, like, if they had kids knowing that they don't want to give 100% of themselves 100% of the time to someone else, to where you're constantly, like, giving. And so to me, I'm like, well, really, they're just really smart, because they know that like, burden, as some people would call it. And I wouldn't call my kids a burden, because they're not at all a burden. I chose to have them. I love them. And they are truly a gift. But other people that wouldn't want kids, that would be really, really hard. And that's why I look at, like, things like adoption and go, good for you. Good for you for understanding and knowing I want my kid to have a better life.
Right. I think you can kind of see both sides of that. The selfishness of deciding that you don't want to
Sure.
take on the work.
True.
But also knowing, like, I'm not equipped for that. So I think there's both sides. And I've heard both sides of that argument. And you're like, okay, well, that's just the selfish side of you saying, I want to have fun and spend my own money, which I understand. I was single well into my 30s. So I understand, like, I could go on a trip and I could drop and do whatever I wanted and just take a vacation day. And now it's like, oh, I can't do that.
I know I want to say to these people, like, young married people, like, don't disrespect your free time, okay? I totally disrespected my free time, and I had no idea what it was like. And then I had kids, and free time, what's that?
It's a new level of tired. Yeah, no free time.
All right, so we kind of touched on it, but go back to Hank. And so, yes, we find out he's still alive. He doesn't stop there. He goes, he already had that horrible relationship with Finn. Mm-hmm. He already, truly broke her in such a way that was, horrific. And just I hated him at that moment, but then come back already. It's starting to flood. Things are starting to flood. And so Orly, sweet Orly, wants to save him, right? Mm. And Orly's like, I've got to save him. And that's his, obsession with these seeds, mm-hmm. right? And so he wants to save him. He goes in to go save him. And then Hank is like, just stay here. And, just stay here. Let me lock him in this,
Right. Your dad's coming back for you, I promise. And he was right, of course, because Dom put his children first.
Right.
I would say to a fault, but
yes.
Yes.
Yes. But then he does that, and then you're like, what in the world? And then it doesn't even stop there, but then he runs into Finn, who's like, and he's like, hey, kid. And she's like, don't call me that. And so you see her just kind of really come out of the, going through this cycle of wait, maybe he should survive, and then he lunges at her.
Is he the crazy person,
right?
Or am I the crazy person?
Right. So she's starting to second guess herself, right? He's like, oh, I don't remember that. I don't remember trying to drown you, and so then I'm a whole new level of Hank. I'm like, please just die. Please just die. I thought you were dead, and now you're alive, and I wish you were dead in the first place.
Did you ever question that, though? If he was the crazy person, or if he was the sane one and everybody else was crazy?
I mean, I knew they were a little bit crazy,
right.
The whole Salt family.
Right. That's why I was like, is this going to be the twist that he is actually, still there trying to save stuff and, is doing the right thing?
Well, I don't know. I felt like he's on this crazy island. He's got to be crazy like all of them. I mean, I honestly thought I tried to put myself in this. There's only, 20 people at that one time, right?
Yeah.
Very few. You're in this remote little place. I'm envisioning, and I don't know why, the Antarctic, you're bundled up to go to place. It's freezing cold. And so I'm thinking you're hanging out with the same person every day. That's the only person you mm-hmm. talk to. You have no connection to the outside world. And so I'm he's just as crazy as they are. But for him to go and be with this young girl, I'm assuming it was because he was lonely.
Or
whatever. There's no excuse. But then for him to do that, I was like, no, he's just crazy. He's crazy. Did you think he wasn't?
I mean, I was questioning it. I mean, the book made me question a lot of things, and I was trying to come up with theories. I mean, if he was crazy, I mean, I felt like they were trying to tell us that Hank was the one that was crazy, and so that I was like, well, is it really the opposite of that?
True.
So I wouldn't have been surprised if he was down there and was like, actually, I just have this really elaborate list, and here's what we're going to save, and I wanted to stay behind, and nobody else was going to let me do it. So there's part of me that was like, maybe he is the sane one. But the fact that Rowan, believed him so fast when she discovered him, I was just like, I feel like you have a better feel of this island already.
Right.
So when she does discover that he's alive, I mean, yes, that's a huge shock.
Yeah.
At that point, she had resigned herself to think that he was dead.
Well, wouldn't you want to? I mean, I sure would.
Yeah, so I just felt like she instantly was back on his side, even though she'd already had the fling with Dom. I mean, yes, she was married, so I'm grateful that she's, taking her spouse's side on this. Right. But it was also, they had kind of fizzled out and had separated.
Sure.
Technically.
Right.
At this time.
Right.
But it just felt like there was no even attempt to find out the facts.
Right. Yeah, I could see that.
I don't know. It was all crazy, and Hank made me mad, but I was more just confused about him. So I was glad when he was swept away or whatever happened. Okay. We're done with him.
Yes.
I think, for real this time. What'd you think about them saving the whales?
I mean, I wasn't surprised because, again, I feel like that was their, friends. That was the people who they connected with, and the people who also haven't failed them, or the things. I shouldn't say people because they're not people. The animals had not failed them.
Yeah.
So like they're like nurturing to them to really care for them.
But I think that was also like the main argument, because at that time Orly was so obsessed with the seeds and knew that we had the deadline, and then we have these two animals that we can try to save. It's going to be almost impossible. So are we wasting time doing this? And so that's like playing God and trying to decide what's worth saving, seeds for humanity or these two whales.
Right.
And so Rowan was like, Dom, we can't do this. Like, this is pointless. We could actually accomplish this mission.
Correct.
So why are we doing this? And I loved his response in that he was like, I don't know if my kids can live with giving up on this, though. Like, I don't think my kids will survive watching these animals die knowing they didn't try.
Right.
So we may take as much time as needed, and it will be really hard, but I don't think they could live with themselves if they didn't try. And and that would be devastating as well. I mean, I was having a really hard time picturing just how big these whales are.
Huge.
Because even Rowan was like, it's smaller up on the beach than I expected. It seemed a lot bigger when it was washing over me.
Yeah.
Which is understandable, but I was having a hard time picturing that rescue mission. But still, massive creatures.
Thousands of pounds.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the fact that they were able to rescue them eventually, that was beautiful. But to the detriment of the seed mission.
Sure. Well, I still feel like there was a lot of things in this book that were not, like, realistic.
Yeah.
And that was kind of one of them. Like, could you imagine your family? Let's talk about, like, your boys, right? They're really, like, you know, the rough and tumble little boys, and just, like, could your family push out a couple ton, like, whale back in the ocean? I mean, really, you got to think the realism of that. Is that possible?
With high tide and with the right tools.
Sure.
You know, really strong reinforced tarp.
All right, God, come on, help us out.
We're pretty muscular. We got this.
Yeah, there was just a lot of things in this book that I felt were, like, very unbelievable. I mean, like I said, one of the biggest being Rowan's relationship with Dom didn't feel super believable. And then when we talked about Finn believing Hank so quickly, like, was that believable? Like, there's a lot of things that I'm like, really?
Also, the timeline of this.
Quick, yes.
I mean, this all takes place in the span of 8 weeks, right?
Yes.
Like 6 to 8 weeks was how long it was until the next boat was coming. So they developed this much of a relationship. She had to heal, so that was like the first week.
Sure,
and then like it just felt like a whole lot happened, or like they grew to know each other, which again, they're on a secluded island, so maybe that is like a pressure cooker, and it really intensified those relationships. But it did feel like they had known each other for years, is what they were trying to convey. And it was 6 weeks, and I was like, this is why I'm not sobbing at the end, because she was still a freaking stranger.
Yep. And you're saying that, and all that I'm thinking of is, like, all those dating shows on TV where it's like 6 to 8 weeks long, and they're in love, and they're getting engaged.
Yes.
And then do they really get married? No, because it's not, you know.
Right. So it just felt very strange for that. So had it been a longer situation there,
but the island was coming for him.
I guess.
Started big and it ended big, so yeah.
Do you have anything else? Or any of our... Oh, I know what I wanted. Maybe I can address this in my review. Are you ready for your review? I feel like I've done my review first the last few times.
Yeah, I'll give you my review first.
Okay.
All right, so it started off strong to me. Like, there's a strange woman on this island, this, like, just pulled out of nowhere. We don't know where she came from. So I felt, like, really good about it. The middle was really hard to read. There was a lot of development, and I understand, you know, like, we've read books before that aren't the best, is, like, not my favorites. Again, I would not categorize this as a thriller, so I cannot compare this to thrillers. It's not a thriller in my eyes. It's a mystery. And so it's in a category all on its own. And so because it was so slow, I did like the ending. I liked that it did come back and give me a good story. I like that it didn't end happy because, I mean...
Because you're...
dark and twisted, right? I mean, that goes back to like how many episodes where I'm a psychopath, right? And if you don't know what I'm talking about,
tracks.
Go back and listen. And so really it's like, I got to give this like a 3.4. It was not the worst book I've ever read, but it definitely wasn't the best.
Yeah. Okay. I'm kind of on the same page there. And you sent me a link over the past week when you were doing all of this research and had all this free time.
I've sent you a lot of links lately.
Know. But this was saying that this was Amazon's book of the year so far for 2025. Mm-hmm. So they take all of the books that they've looked at from January to June or July, and they have their book of the year, and it's this one. And I don't get it. I wanted to. I'm glad that we did this book. Mm-hmm. We had said this was one that you found in the free little library. And so, like, I'm grateful that there were 2 copies of it and it was, like, meant to be, and that this is a big book. But it just didn't move the needle for me. Like, it just, like I said, it took me a really long time to read it. That's usually a sign. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't really curious to keep reading. It was not a page turner for me. Mm-mm. And so I did enjoy once things started unfolding in that like last third or that last quarter.
Right.
It finally kind of picked up and I was going to get some answers. It was still very confusing. Mm-hmm. I mean, even now I'm like, oh, well, maybe they were talking about that. And you know what? I am somebody who is environmentally conscious and I'm not poo-pooing any of that. And that, like, yes, we should, like, take good care of the earth. Like, we should be good stewards of the world that we were given.
Right.
But I was not on the apocalyptic vibes and how fast things were going. Mm-hmm. This was kind of in a near distant future. Mm-hmm. Like, it wasn't a specified date. So it was just kind of, this is what's coming. And I didn't buy it. Mm-hmm. So that was like climate change. The storms were getting so much bigger and this island was disappearing. That's probably happening and people are going to be listening and they're like, you're such a dummy, Jamie. Like, it's coming, it's happening.
Tell
and
me
like,
and send me all the stuff.
Send me the proof, send me the links, whatever. But
I want to know about it.
I've listened to a couple reviews and they were like, you're going to care so much about these plants. You're going to care about the seeds and you're going to care about the environment. And I was like, oh, I already do care about the environment. Mm-hmm. And I did like Orly's little journey with the seeds and how the seeds were going around the world. And a bird carried this one around and the dandelion flew all the way to Minnesota or wherever it went. Like, that was cute. But I also wasn't like, save the seeds.
Right.
So I wasn't out there rallying with this.
You weren't over there like, save the whales? Come on.
I was there for save the penguins. Come on. They were cute. So I think I'm going so far as a 3.1.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
I was confused and bogged down a little, and my word was convoluted, which is just like things aren't matching up. It was complicated and complex and just a little too twisty without enough explanation throughout.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the spooky spirits and people like whispering to the wind, it was just a little hokey. And so I felt like the island was supposed to be kind of alive, but it wasn't. Like, it was just the people and their trauma.
Yeah.
It wasn't the island. I don't know.
Well, we all have our own traumas, right?
Yes, we do.
Right. And so I've listened to like 50 different reviews on this book because I had so much time, and so many people did love it, and they thought it was so thought-provoking, and that you walk away from it still thinking about those things. And maybe your confusion is still your ability to stop and go, okay, let me think about this. And so, or maybe you're just confused. So,
and I'm already on to the next book. I'm not even going to think about it. No, I think it is good. And we've had a lot of thought-provoking books lately.
A lot, yeah.
I mean, We did the women,
Yes.
and that was thought-provoking about
Super.
war
Yep.
and just women's rights and all of the things that women have been through. We did the wedding people, which talked about all
Everything.
of the trigger warnings
Yes.
as well. And so I feel like we've had really deep conversations.
Right. And maybe it's more so a lot of like the shift in books of like, let you think of something like personal. How can this personally affect me? Which gives you that sense of emotion of not just like, let me read this fictional story about this psychopath killing someone, which is super entertaining.
Yeah.
Right. But recently all these fiction books have been sit in this thought and really think about it and take it outside of yourself, because there are things like this really happening in the world.
I feel like all of these authors have been putting these together during COVID.
Oh.
And so they were in that like melancholy, like,
That's possible.
I'm secluded. How can I write a book to make somebody else feel this way?
That's
what this feels like.
That's true. I mean, I'm sure COVID changed a lot of like their storytelling, because you're sitting by yourselves cleaning your groceries.
Oh my goodness.
I'm just saying, it really did make you think about the end of the world. Like,
Right.
is this here right now?
Yep. Not so near future. I don't know. It's crazy.
Right. All right. Well, on that note, keep reading.
Keep ranting.
And remember, you're so approachable. Okay, the episode is over. If you enjoyed it, could you give us a thumbs up or leave a review?
It goes a long way toward helping us grow and meet new people like you.
Subscribe to get notified when the next episode drops.
You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook to see what we're reading next, recommend new books, and join the conversation.
We're so excited to have you on board. I'm going to return that book so quickly to the little library, and I'm going to shove a couple of our
Bookmarks in
bookmarks in it.